So, generative AI, the how and the what and the how. So what I'll be talking now is going to be a bit of a generic overview about LLMs, how do they work without really any technical knowledge needed, and what are the available tools and how to use them at the best to just basically implement it immediately into your business or into your private life. About myself, as I said before, I'm a tech entrepreneur, professional musician. I've done all of this for 20 plus years. I'm the founder of Promethean Box. We develop SaaS using AI. So services like Tweetify, that is like an AI for social media posts. Copyforge, it is an AI for creating articles and blog posts. AudioShaped is a neural network to do sound design on hardware music synthesizers. And then, yeah, I'm a public speaker, business consultant and stuff. So, what is generative AI? This is what it is, and that's all you need to know, really. Although usually, exactly, people, oh, someone is sound. Usually people just start crying, or someone is actually laughing. That is good. If there is alcohol, usually this is when people start drinking or they just leave the room. Anyway, we are going back to this. I promise you, in a couple of minutes, you will know all that's happening here, and without having to learn any of the terms on top. So, let's make it a bit simpler. What's the capital of France? The capital of France is Paris. Now, if you ask this question to ChatGPT, this is exactly what you will get. Very important, very, very important that this is the most important concept that you need to understand to know how it works. Your ChatGPT or whatever LLMs you're using doesn't understand what you're talking about. It doesn't know what capital is. It doesn't know where France is or what it is. It doesn't understand a single thing. Yet, it's able to tell you that the capital of France is Paris. If you were asking in the question, what is the capital of France and what's the language, it will tell you the capital of France is Paris and the language is French. Now, how does it do it? Actually, it's quite simple. There is already a clue there. The capital of France, the capital of France. You know, how many of you have used ChatGPT up to now, even if just experimenting? Good. You have noticed that very often, some words of your question, they are repeated in the answer. That is by design. Very simply, the way it works is that it knows that if in a sentence there are the words capital and France, but there is no Paris, Paris is more likely the word that you want to know about, the next likely word. If there was capital France and then language, and without Paris and French, it will know that that is what you need to do, what you want. I'm making it very simple here, but basically the concept is these words that are missing are the ones that are more likely to follow up. And it's just literally putting one word after the other. Once again, it's very simplified, but this is literally how it works. So how does it do it? Once again, I will simplify, but it's very simple. So just imagine there is this big computer at OpenAI, they have a big computer, and it's going to read everything that has ever been written on the internet. Wikipedia, blog posts, books, whatever, all of that. How many times you will see this system, this computer will see a sentence containing the words capital France with Paris as well, or capital France, language Paris, French? Many times. So, as it starts seeing these words all together, once again, it doesn't need to understand what they mean. It just says, okay, these words are related to each other. Somehow they're related. And they're put all together. I always call them like clouds of context. Just imagine it a physical space. It's not, but just imagine it a physical space. So all these words, they're all together. The more times it will see them together, the more this is reinforced. So this is a context. These words are connected to each other. Now, just imagine how many other times it will see a phrase where capital of Italy and language and Rome and Italian, they're in the same sentence. Many times, probably. That's another cloud of context, another space with related words. But crucially, there are two words, capital and language, that are common in these two contexts. So these two contexts, these words related to each other, they're also connected. Now extend it to everything that's ever been written on the internet, and you suddenly have a very quick, a very easy to access knowledge where words that are related together, they are in the same physical space and they can just be kept very quickly. And this is literally what's happening in here. Just imagine these dots as these clouds of context. This computer is literally reading a page that contains terms like computer, computing, engineering, hardware, blah, blah, blah. It's just connect them all together, but some words are also common between two contexts. And this is how And this is also why it works like that. So it is why we always talk about prompt engineering. I always say the quality of the output that you put in ChatGPT is only as good as the quality of your input. If you change one single word in your question, you might get a completely different answer. So it is very important to understand. It's not understanding what you mean, but it just gets it from the context for the words in your question. It analyzes your question and it does the same thing. But what about images, for example? By the way, this is me today according to, I think this is Midjourney. Doesn't look like me, but anyway, we will go back to this image later on. Look at this image. So this is a very simple representation of how an AI understands objects. So for example, top left, you have like a long sleeve t-shirt, a sweater, whatever it is. You know, it becomes a short sleeves, it becomes a dress, I suppose, trousers. On the other side, if you go down, it becomes a bag. The bag becomes, I suppose, a wallet, high heel shoes, low shoes. I think these are flip-flops, probably. So how does it do this? Let's go back to the big computer we said before. Just instead of reading through all the internet, it's just going through millions and millions and millions of images labeled. That means with a description. So I have an image, I don't know, white guy wearing a black shirt, black woman wearing, wearing a red bag, whatever it is. After you've seen millions of them, the machine, like us, will start understanding what are the features of these objects. It can abstract. And then it can also do this. It can basically see what are the common ones. That means it's understanding, basically it can reduce the amount of things it needs to understand. But more crucially, it means it can generate also things that I've never seen before, because it knows what are the basic characteristics and how they are connected between each other. So it can imagine, literally, things that I've never seen before, just based on the image that you've seen before. So, for example, if you have this big computer, and this computer has seen millions and millions of sofas, and sandy beaches, and sunsets, and dogs, I can go on there and saying, I want an image of a dog sitting on a sofa on a beach at the sunset. And there it is. It doesn't exist. But if you've seen millions of this, you can imagine it. If I was telling you, just imagine me here, you've never seen me before, wearing, I don't know, a t-shirt that is yellow here, orange here, long sleeve here, short sleeve here. It doesn't exist, hopefully. But you can imagine it, and if I could print from your brain, it will be there. Because it is exactly the same thing. You've seen enough t-shirts to just imagine what it is. You know how a t-shirt is made. And very simply, as I said, I'm simplifying here, but it is literally what's happening here. By the way, in terms of images, we are going to that later on. Be very careful when you use them. This image looks good, it's not. There is a sunset behind the dog, somehow is not reflected on the sea, for whatever reason. And unless we are in Star Trek or Star Wars, and there is a planet with two suns, there is a sun coming here, because the dog is illuminated by the sun on this side, not behind. Always be very careful. We are going to have often now, during the rest of the presentation, what ChatGPT does, what image generation does. It looks good at the first thing, but very often they're not. So be careful about it. So what are the available tools that we have? Let's start with images, because we're talking about them now. I could just go into details about all of this, but what I will say is Midjourney, it is probably the best in terms of quality. It is a bit weird to use because you need to use Discord, that is a chat app, and it's quite expensive. OpenAI, DALL-E is probably the best in terms of cost, easy to use, and quality. Stable Diffusion, Adobe Firefly, they're interesting, but they're not really there in terms of quality for generating images. Adobe Firefly is fantastic for photo editing, but not for generating images. So, but how does it work? So let's go back. The image before, top left, looks okay-ish. Once you just go into the guy, this is really creepy. The guy has some sort of this is, I think, a glass eye or something, whatever. There is something weird happening on the shirt. He's obviously not clipping his nails. And this thing here, this is my favorite. It is a midway between a speaker, a microphone, and a radio mic receiver all together. But it is behind the guy. So not very good image. This prompt was just telling, I'm talking to a conference about AI. And that was Midjourney. This is OpenAI DALL-E. Once again, top left, yeah, Then you just zoom on the people, it looks like a horror movie. They're literally melting down. And we will see, and we know that is very often, AI always makes lots of confusion with limbs. So you will see big limbs, bigger limbs, missing limbs, additional limbs, limbs mixed with furniture, and all sorts of stuff happens all the time. This is stable diffusion. This is my favorite one. So top left, once again, looks sort of decent. This guy, I think, has a dog with a hand coming down there. I don't know what's happening to this guy. There's nothing good. There is a weird protrusion from the stand. I don't want to know what it is, but it doesn't look good. And once again, this thing is quite bizarre. And last but not least, Adobe Firefly. Top left, it looks sort of good when you start. And then you think, why there is a camera instead of the microphone pointing in the wrong direction and with a lens cap on it? And then you see at the end that it is, well, the hand should be a hand. Anyway, so when you use images, always be very careful. Most of the times, they are not good. And what I'm saying is, I would say it also for ChatGPT, now they might look okay, but as we get used to this, we will be able more and more to just spot these things. And your reputation will not be very good if you just do a blog post, and there is like an image, oh, it looks good, and then someone posts on social media, oh, they just put an image and it's all floor. Obviously, they use the AI without thinking about it. Careful about it. Tools for charts, for text. Once again, I could go through all of them. Some of them, they're better than others for something, but I will say OpenAI, it is way, way, way ahead of everyone else at the moment. So I wouldn't really bother using anything at the moment, if not OpenAI, not ChatGPT 4, so the paid one, not the free one. They are far, far, far more advanced than anyone else. So I will just now go very quickly through some tips and tricks about it. So first of all, one thing I see very often on the left, when you enter into ChatGPT, you will see all the charts. And what I see very often, there are two things that you have to not do absolutely. One, using one chart for everything. So whatever you're talking about, how to make a carbonara, or how to speak tomorrow, or how to just prepare, a report. Don't do that, because as we said before, LLMs work with context. Your chart is the context. If you're talking about everything in there, you are confusing, and basically you're not going to get good answers, or not as good as you will do what you should do. That is basically having a topic for each of the things you're talking about. So also don't do the other thing I see very often, that people just go there and every time they start a new chat, even if it is something about the talk before. Don't do that. Don't use one for everything, and don't use one new for every new thing. Always just have topics. Very important, because you will get much better responses. Make it yours. If you go in the options of ChatGPT, you can tell it who you are, what is the tone you want, all the stuff you want, and it will apply automatically to all the chats. So it's very useful, instead of having to repeat it every single time. Privacy, we could do a full conference about it. I won't. I would just say it's not really what you read on the press. So it's not if you're talking about, I don't know, your mom on a chat, then someone else in America, they're talking about the same thing and they will see what you were talking about. It doesn't work like that. But it is still a public service. So the usual recommendations are, if you're uploading CSVs documents, always anonymize data if they are sensitive data. And if you're want to be even more safe, there is an option to basically disable the improving their models. This is actually relatively new. Before, if you were doing that, if you were disabling it, the service was more limited. Now you can get still the full service and basically just be a bit more sure that your data are protected. Once again, always anonymize them anyway. Use the upload files. You can upload an image and ask, oh, I want variations of this image, or I want to have more similar images to this one. You could upload a CSV or an Excel file with profiles of your customers. And then you could upload a PDF with your new service or your new app or your new whatever, and then you can ask ChatGPT, can you prepare for me copies specifically targeted to all the people in the previous Excel file? And it will just do it for you. It's very, very powerful. ChatGPT is not a tool, it's not a toy, it's a professional tool. I mean, I know big companies that use it every single day. So use it properly. That is one of the most powerful functionalities that you have there. And if you are then even more advanced, you can use the custom ChatGPTs. They are the most powerful of all them. So what it means that you have your own custom ChatGPT. You can have as many as you want. The way it works is that you can tell it what it needs to do, what it's supposed to do, how, And then you can upload documents, PDFs, Excel, whatever you want, and those documents, they become the truth, the source of the knowledge for that bot. So you can really ground the bot and tell the bot, this is your knowledge. If you don't know something from these documents, just tell me you don't know. Or use this knowledge for something and then go on the internet and do something else. You can do all you want. Very powerful. And you can have as many as you want. Before closing, we're talking about how images are a bit weird. So let's talk about how ChatGPT is a bit weird. I don't know if you've seen blog posts. Very often, they always start with this phrase I say there. In the adverbly adjective ing place of topic or whatever you're talking about, subject is. So if you're having a blog post talking about AI and ChatGPT, you will see, it will say, in the rapidly evolving landscape of generative AI, ChatGPT, blah, blah, blah. This very formal way, it's now very easy to spot. And there are so many blog posts that do that basically I think in a few months, people will start laughing when they see one. They say, aha, someone used ChatGPT without even editing it. Be very careful. There is a dialect that ChatGPT uses, and you should just edit it. The other thing it does, it is very verbose, as we know. It always apologizes, but it's also very verbose. So it will use paragraphs, and it will always do firstly, secondly, moreover, finally, in conclusion, whatever. This is not how you will normally write, for example, a blog post. It's very formal, so always edit it. Use it only as a draft, like with images. And there are tools for doing it. This is one of the many. So there are AI detectors. They are free. You can literally paste in the text generated from your ChatGPT, and it will tell you what is the score. You know, if it is AI, it's not AI, and it will tell you what are the phrases that are the ones that are mostly going to be AI generated. So use these tools, and you know, you will be sure that it's no one will be able really to see that it was generated by ChatGPT. Many people do that. So that is my recommendation. Always use it as a draft. Always check your images, and always remember that it's all about context. Always think about how you're asking the question, and you will get better answers. And that's everything from me. That is my QR code if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm always happy to obviously reply, and that's it. Thank you very much.